Hello, Lisa here. Welcome back to my channel and welcome to this. I'm so excited about this. Welcome to this first impressions walkthrough, unboxing, show and tell, whatever you want to call this kind of video of the Shimmering Veil Tarot by Cilla Conway, who for some reason I keep wanting to call Cilla Conway. I think I see the second L as an I. Apologies, Cilla, for all the many times I've probably called you Cilla on this channel. Many apologies, but I am really excited to get into this deck. So I've actually got a couple decks to share with you guys, and there was a bit of a suspense and a story around this particular walkthrough because I polled members of the Unicorn Fam, which is my channel membership, by the way. I polled members to see which walkthrough of the couple of decks I've picked up recently they wanted to see first. And this one was totally winning, and then there was like a dead heat, and then it literally ended at 50-50, and I was like, this is not a good decision-making tool. So I was just like, it's 50-50. I'm choosing Shimmering Veil. So this is the one we're unboxing today. But there was a lot of interest from the Unicorn Fam on this one. And to be fair, it was actually winning originally. So, I mean, I feel like it's fine. It's fine. I purchased this actually at the end of 2021, like around mid-December, because of I think it was Emily from the Helping You Say Yes to the Deck episode, which I actually just aired week or two ago here on the channel, and I was enamored once I saw it. I could not stop staring at it, and it was meant to be. So I'm really excited to get into it. It does have a really nice clamshell style box, and this is the same, it feels like exactly the same kind of box as you might get in like a Baba Studios style deck. It's got some really pretty like rainbow, I don't know if the light's gonna catch it, but a lot of the details are this like rainbow holographic like metallic, and it's raised, it's like embossed on the box. It's really quite nice. And this is like a really nice, I would say matte. It might have a touch of that soft touch or rose petal-y kind of finish to it, but it's really nice. I do really enjoy boxes that are all together like this, that are either clamshell style or magnetic open up. I really enjoy these, but this is a really nice sort of friction fit or pressure fit box. It's lovely. Okay, whew, okay. I'm super excited to get into the guidebook. I always say I'm going to save it for last, but we'll see. Also, I feel like I really must point out right now, while the box is super visible, that I've already picked out my Peggy bag for it. Like, how perfect is this matchup? It's like the same color, this kind of like gray purple, and this fabric. This is old. This is like a bag I've had for a long time. It's housed various things, but this is literally what it was meant to house. But this sort of duochrome fabric is an OG Peggy fabric. I'm pretty sure this doesn't exist anywhere anymore. Just sorry. I don't mean to get you excited, but anyway, this is just, but isn't it perfect? It's so perfect. So I'm excited. So that's kind of off to the side because that's where this is going to go next. But anyway, let's get in. I am so excited. I can't even string words together. So excited about this deck. And it's so funny. I had this like kind of, it felt like it was taking a really long time in shipping, and I finally checked in, and I don't typically, but I reached out, was like, is everything okay? And then we had a couple back and forths, me and Cilla, and then it showed up like that very day. It's just the funniest irony when stuff like that happens. Anyway, I love this inset. Again, more of that holographic. I hope the camera can capture it. Hopefully it can. And it's also in the bottom of this box. Surrounding this image, this beautiful piece of artwork in here. And it says, "In ages past, you came to ask your most pressing questions. Today, my time is returning. Once more, I look at you through the veil of consciousness and answer, as always, through ambiguity and metaphor. Do you recognize me? Do you remember?" Oh, okay, that's so goosebumpy and awesome. I love that. Very excited. So I did, before I decided to back this, take a peek at some sort of flip-through style things, just to make sure it was going to be a wise purchase for me. It has the rainbow holographic edges. But I didn't linger too long. I wanted to see enough of the artwork to know it was probably going to be a good fit before I purchased it. But I feel like it's going to be brand new again because I haven't peeked since then. And the only thing I really remember is that there's 2 Fool cards. And I'm really excited about that, and I'll talk more about why. But I'm really excited about that. I really need to get into these cards. Can you tell? So I'm going to set the box aside and the book aside. Okay. Whew. So pretty. Okay, let's take a look at the backs of the cards. They are a gorgeous sort of pastel prismatic kind of look to them. There's nothing metallic or foiled or anything, and I love that. It's a soft, pretty backing. And this cardstock feels really, really nice. It's got some flex and bend to it. It doesn't feel at all like It feels like it has a nice core, if that makes any sense. It feels like it's going to flex and bend really nicely. It's thin enough that I feel like it's going to shuffle really nicely, and it's not that rose petal. It's just a nice, smooth, matte finish. So all the production and geekery aside, let's zoom in. I'm going to just take a little tour through all the cards, and we'll see where we end up. All right, that should be about good. Oh, so pretty. So the funny thing about this very first image, there's two things I noticed right away. One is that I can really see the texture of the paint on the card, which really excites me. Every time I've experienced a deck where I could see the texture of either the canvas or the paint in the image, there's something about it that makes it feel really tactile. Even though I can't feel it, I can see the feeling of it, if that makes any sense. I mean, if what I'm saying about being able to see the feeling of something, if that resonates for you, if that makes sense for you, let me know down below that I am not alone because it really has a big impact for me. And I'm really noticing it around the foot of the Fool, but also just seeing all the brush strokes or tool strokes in the artwork. And then I'm also noticing right away before I get into the actual like cards and meaning and artwork, they look like they're borderless and untitled, but they actually do down in the lower right hand corner here have I guess it's not a Roman numeral, just a 0. And this has like almost like what looks like a kind of spirally infinity symbol, which I'm assuming is for the majors. Yeah. And then it is Roman numerals. So they are numbered. So you know what card you're on. You don't have to think about it, but it's so unobtrusive that you get this almost borderless kind of experience of the cards, which again, really, I don't know if I should say again, but that really excites me. This is the kind of artwork I feel like will really draw me in. And it being so open and expansive like this with such minimal titles is like, again, really exciting to me. But here we have our Fool, and this is a butterfly that the Fool is releasing. But the funny thing about this butterfly, when I first saw it from a distance, I mean, mind you, I'm not wearing my reading glasses, so that's on me. But I immediately got this kind of idea in my head that it was one of those frosted animal crackers, like nut crackers, animal cookies, like the Mother's brand animal cookies with the pink frosting and like the little sprinkles. From a distance, that was the very first thing it made me think of, and I thought it was like a dog-shaped one, and it just was charming the pants off of me for a second before I realized, oh wait, that's a butterfly. But I feel like the animal cookie reference is probably going to stick with me. And let's be clear, I mean, it doesn't look like an animal cookie, right? Like it's clearly a butterfly, and I actually really love the symbology of the butterfly, but I feel like that's something that will be instantly memorable. I really like the freshness of the Fool. I really like that he or she, they are stepping off of some kind of cliff or ledge while looking up at the freedom, at the releasing of that butterfly, of that sort of free expression, the idea that things are opening up and expanding. I just think that's really exciting. And the color palette is really soothing and very dreamy, and I love that. Ooh, okay, this is cool. So this is our magician. There's all of this really cool stuff happening in the background of this card. For starters, we can see the moon and the sun. We can also see these like, they almost look like they could be snakes, or they could be staffs of power. And they're holding one of each, or one in each hand. And then they've also got one kind of coming up from the earth and sort of spiraling around them. And it almost feels as though this character is literally drawing up energy from this green earthy mound that they're standing on, that they are pulling it up and then wielding it, sort of manipulating the energy. So in this case, it's like they're drawing this energy up. It's almost like when I ground and I visualize drawing energy up from the earth. That's what this looks like to me. And then these look like almost like this magician character had reached their hands down and pulled up these like long strands of energy from the earth and are now preparing to send them to their desired destination, right? To put them to purpose. And I also feel like I see all these little spirits in the background. So maybe some blue ones over here, some red ones over here, and there's like waves crashing behind them. And it's a very potent feeling in this card, which it's yeah. And again, I can see the texture of the paint, and it's exciting. It's exciting. Oh, yes. So this is the same image as what we saw in the bottom of the box with that really cool message. And yes, I mean, this is our diviner. This is our high priestess. It almost looks as though there's a dragon kind of hugging itself around the moon up here. But what I really love is this sort of geometric shape being held in our high priestess's hands. I also feel like there's, so far, quite a bit of gender ambiguity in these first three cards, which I am really excited about, even though that wasn't something I considered about this deck at all or noticed previously. It's really standing out to me now that this High Priestess could be masculine, feminine, you know, non-gendered. There's this really open feeling. This person just feels like magic, like their face is veiled, and you get the feeling like they are definitely holding this sacred geometric shape that's containing some kind of deep knowledge. It's really exciting. So this is interesting because a lot of times our Empress, we often have the discussion of pregnant Empress, non-pregnant Empress, but here our Empress has a child that is nurturing that child. But what's interesting is that she doesn't feel quite human. She feels more divine, and it almost feels more like a metaphor, the way that it's painted. Does that make any sense? I don't know if I'm making any sense, but it feels more metaphorical. And maybe it's the third eye sort of light up, or crown chakra sort of like light up that's happening here in the painting. I don't know. I don't know if it's that. I don't know if it's actually, when you look, it's almost as though you can see the curve of the earth, as if she really is way up in the universe nursing this child. And then it's like, okay, what does that mean? And how do you interpret that? And because I feel like this almost looks like a satellite image of the earth, kind of almost, that distant look, that curve of the earth. Do you see what I'm saying? It feels very divine, which is really powerful and beautiful, and I'm excited about it. And here our Emperor, this Emperor does feel slightly more gendered than previous Emperors, but I love that there's this like focus of power right in front of their solar plexus area, this idea that they almost look sketched. I'm guessing they are sort of sketched or kind of lightly drawn, but it's all about the light and the power around them. I love that. Oh, this Hierophant looks very meditative or prayerful, very spiritual, but I like that it doesn't seem to feature the physical structures of like buildings around them that kind of boxes them in and makes them feel more like bureaucracy. I feel like it's a little more open to interpretation in this version. And I love all the purples because, of course, that immediately connects me to the crown chakra, the idea of that sort of, or third eye chakra, but it really connects me with those upper two, right? The third eye and the crown makes me think of spiritual light, much like the Empress did, but the Empress felt like she was more in that silvery space, right? Above, more crown. So I would say maybe even more third eye. I don't know why I'm going chakras with this, but that's just where my brain went. So it is what it is. This immediately makes me think of a Lover's card. And not to compare artists, I don't know how that would feel as an artist. So, but it brings to mind a connection to another deck that I actually want to grab and show because I think it's actually a really cool connection. They're very different cards, and I love that this one has more ambiguity. I'm just going to chat with you while I grab the deck. It has more ambiguity, which I love. I love that we see the sort of two hearts here, or the two halves of the heart kind of weaving together, and out of this woven together space, they've created this new life, this new growth in the form of that tree. But it really reminds me of the Lover's card from the Legacy of the Divine Tarot, which I'm going to just grab real quick. Oh, it's not any... Well, it's kind of like it, I guess. This is what it made me think of, was this card. This is a Cira Marchetti card. And I think it's literally just because the two figures kind of form that heart shape. But really, they couldn't be... I mean, I guess there's definitely some similarities. We still have similar nods in the artwork too. The idea of that tree, the tree of knowledge. We have that tree of knowledge here. We have the two figures. But this was immediately what I remembered or what I thought of when I saw this. It's like it sparked a memory. That's particularly personally powerful for me because I have been working with this deck for a very, very, very long time. It's one of my OG decks. And so having that kind of come to mind was actually kind of a neat little synchronicity. So that was cool. The Chariot. I love the kind of blurred, painterly. I don't know what the right word is. I don't know if that's the right way to express it, but this kind of blurry, meldy, mushy effect of this artwork. It just makes it feel, again, a little more dreamy, a little more flowy, really speaking to my watery self for sure. Oh, I love this. I like that the wildcat, the lion in this image looks fierce. We can see that this character's hand is kind of in the lion's mouth, but the lion doesn't look tame per se. It looks like they're finding the harmony with all the wildness, which is really cool. Oh, look at this hermit. This is so beautiful. You can see the castle off in the distance, sort of the hint of pulling oneself away from, going down and away from civilization or away from that hill, and then shining the light forward and preparing to go into this cave. It's like the moment before the hermit is in the cave that we're seeing here, which is really cool. I'm going to say really cool a lot. I apologize. This is the most stunning wheel card I've seen in a long, long time. It's very much a star-shaped galaxy. I love this image. To me, seeing a wheel that looks like it could be in perpetual motion, which this does look with these spiral arms that come out of this galaxy, there's this feeling of that perpetual motion, or almost like windmill sort of. I like that about the wheel because I often go to concepts of change and riding the wheel. And so seeing motion or an idea of motion in the artwork is always really meaningful to me personally. Here we have the Justice card. Interestingly, one of the things that's standing out to me, and I don't know if it's intentional, but I feel like one of these bowls of the scales is made of a darker metal, like a bronze or a gold, and the other one made from a lighter metal, like a silver or a platinum or something along those lines. It feels like the two sides are definitely not the same, but they're being held in equal, and it looks as though what's happening here is that Justice is sort of lifting up. This is so interesting. Feels as though the hands of Justice are sort of lifting up this bowl to even the scales, if that makes sense, while holding the sword down on this side. To me, that implies that this side is being the consequence, maybe what feels like a trip down on the Wheel of Fortune, for example, but the consequence is happening over here. And this side is being lifted up to balance the scales, so to speak. So it feels like Justice in action, which is really cool. I don't think I've seen a Justice card do quite that before. And again, that's just my impression. I don't know if that's the artist's intention, but that's what the purpose of this walkthrough is, just to give my impressions of the artwork. Oh, this hanged one is spectacular. And this is just saying that made me realize that not having titles on the major arcana is really lovely, because it does leave open to interpretation what you want to call this energy or how you want to work with it. We just have the Roman numeral 12 for this card. I will say, so far, the images feel like they're very approachable and very obvious what it is you're looking at. So even if you don't fully know your Roman numeral associations for the major arcana, I feel like they would be very easy to build that association for yourself, because this clearly is the Hanged One. But as I said, the Hanged One, and this is my point. Without having a title here, as I said, the Hanged One, I realized it didn't have to be the Hanged Man, or the Hanged Woman, or the Hanged Otter, or whatever might be hanging. I had the option to look at it in whatever way that I wanted to look at it, whatever was most relatable, and I appreciate that about this card. But what I really appreciate is how watery and how peaceful this looks. It really speaks to me. Oh, wow. Oh, wow. So immediately looking at this card, I can already tell this is a deck that I'm going to have some astounding experiences with, because I looked at this and I didn't think, oh, that's a cool death card. What I thought is, oh, I'm on a trip into the underworld and this is like the river Styx, and like, oh, here's somebody being shepherded across the river into Hades territory. I just totally went on this whole journey in a split second, because the artwork pulled me into a story, it wasn't just a scene I was looking at. It didn't feel two-dimensional in that moment. It felt three-dimensional and immersive, and I felt like I was in it. And oh my gosh, the path working with this deck would be something wild. But I see right away this like path. This is what, oh, it's making me catch my breath. It's making me feel almost emotional. But this path felt like you're standing here and you're watching. Like, this is the path forward. I see these kind of hills and sort of mountains, and then there's this dark angel above. And I don't mean dark in an evil way. I just mean dark in shadow, right? And you see this little soul being sort of guided or shepherded into this next phase. And it just feels really potent and powerful. You can definitely see some sort of vague, sort of skull-like shapes in the background of the art, and some nods to what feels like maybe ancient civilizations kind of also in the background, other things that have gone, that have been lost. Really, really potent, this card. And just look at this. Like this is what I love. I love when, I don't know how to describe, I'm not an artist. I don't know how people know how to do this, but this feeling when you go from like this really, when color is clearly used, a color palette is used to convey an emotion. I experienced this kind of thing with the Dream Vision Tarot recently, where the use of color felt like it took me on a journey, even aside from what the paintings showed. And that's what I feel here. It's like you go from this very intense, kind of hard energy, can be very hard, that card, into this very calm pool of peace and restoration in the Temperance card. I especially love that I feel like what I'm seeing is a red cup and a blue cup and the pouring of waters between. And we have this very angelic sort of presence here in the card. And it's just, it almost feels like a portal in a way. I feel like I'm gazing into a pool of solace, which in a lot of ways, I feel like the Temperance offers us that healing and that opportunity to rebalance and to moderate. I love that. I love that so much. I'm really falling. Can you guys tell? I'm completely smitten already, and I'm only on card 14. So I guess this is going to be a long video. Oh my gosh, look at this devil. Look at this devil. So we have this character in the background with this face, and in the foreground are our two sort of primary characters are chained, not specifically, I find it really interesting, and actually another comparison to the Dream Vision Tarot, that one also had two figures chained together at the throat. Same thing here, at the throat, these two figures are chained together. And I think that's really interesting because I think for a lot of us, we've experienced devil energy through the toxicity we have put ourselves into in relationships with other people, right? We've found ourselves through wanting to be loved or wanting to be wanted, finding ourselves in these situations, we sort of chain ourselves to things that are bad for us, that are unhealthy for us. And so we connect and we bind ourselves to others. And you can also look, of course, at this as a metaphor for binding ourselves to other things that are not healthy, that are coping tools, that are mechanisms for getting us through. And then we find ourselves very bogged down by that energy. But that's kind of what that makes me think of, and just how oppressive and dark this is, and how small these characters seem in comparison to the character they've given all their power to, or the energy they've given all their power to. It's super evocative. Holy moly. It's so interesting because the main thing I'm seeing here is this lightning bolt and just these big kind of crashing waves. I feel like my breath is catching in my throat, like as I go through this deck, because I feel like it's just pure feeling. I feel as though, and I know nothing about Cilla's artwork. I need to be very clear. Cilla's put out a couple of decks. This is, I think, her third. I think this is her third tarot, and she's got an oracle deck out now, I think called the Book of the Dead, that apparently I'm going to now have to look at. But I don't know anything about Cilla. All I know is that in my head, I can imagine her in front of her canvas or in front of her, whatever she paints these on, with her paints, just losing herself to the feeling of each card. It feels very real and authentic. It feels like it's coming from a very genuine place, and that's really powerful to me. And I don't know that it's even fair for me to say that. I have no way to know, but it just feels like that. I don't know if you guys have ever had that experience with artwork, and maybe this really at the heart of it is something that what excites me so much about tarot is the way that the images can speak to me in different ways, and this is just one of those. Okay, I need to speed it up here, people. The Star card. I get the feeling here that just like in the wheel, hold on. I feel like this is relevant. Here's our wheel, right? We get this universal kind of cosmic energy. And then here's our Star card. Not only is the star, really our eye is drawn there by the artwork, but we have this celestial figure who is pointing the way, is like saying, this is the way, this is where you need to focus. This is where you need to look. Put your attention here, set your sights by this light. Yeah, just really, really good. Such a serene moon card. It just feels so alive. Like this deck in general just feels very, very alive. And the sun. I mean, these just, come on. Like those just capture lunar and solar energy so beautifully. But here we still have the Rider-Waite-Smith nod to the crawfish. We have the pillars. We have the sea in the background. So we have the symbols that we're used to seeing. I would say the thing that's missing here is that nod. Never mind. I think I see it, or I'm making it up. Okay, I could be making this up. I literally can't tell. And if this is intentional on the part of the artist, it's brilliantly done. I was going to say, I don't see the dog and the wolf. But then I noticed in the cloud shapes here, I think I do. I think I do see a dog and a wolf. And I don't know, have you ever cloud gazed? I don't know if I'm making that up. Does anybody else see that? Like right here at the bottom part of this cloud bank, I feel like I see one facing that way and one facing that way. This one almost looks like it's rearing up, like it's pouncing on the other one. Again, I've probably just made that up, but now that I've seen it, I can't unsee it, and it's there for me. Isn't that so crazy? I don't even know just what just happened. Okay, moving on. Sun card is beautiful. I don't have anything to say. I do love that it's rising. It looks like it's rising over the sea. That's what I see. I see the reflection here in the water and the sun rising, which is one of my favorite ways to engage with sun energy. Oh, wow. Again, so much texture in the paint here. This must be oil paint, right? Or like really thick acrylic painting, but I feel like it might be oil paint. I'm sure I can find out if I look at the book, but I want to do my first impressions. This Judgment card, the way these souls are all like lifting up and evolving towards this white light is so ethereal and beautiful. I love that we're stepping away from some of that sort of angel calling and instead sort of just evolving and lifting up and oh, it's just, I can't. Another universe energy. I feel like the major arcana is really captured as a major arcana in this deck. It feels like this is universal archetypal, like deified kind of energy, and I'm here for it. And this is what I remembered. So here is our second Fool. So this is Fool labeled number 22. And what I think is so beautiful and powerful about this is the Fool at the beginning of the journey, sort of full of hope and optimism and sort of expressing freedom. But they're pure. They are not filled up with all these different life experiences. And then you get to the Fool at the end of the major arcana, and you have this Fool that there's all of these colors and they're deeper and they're richer for their experiences, right? They've gained knowledge and wisdom, and they're holding now, it looks like a star or a flower. Looks like a geometric star kind of shape there. I hope we're focusing properly. It feels really... It feels like the moment after the World card, when you're ready to start a new journey, but you're coming at that new journey now from a place of deeper wisdom, more knowledge, more experiences under your belt, the way that some of us, I feel like, must feel when we're further along in life, but we're still taking risks. We're coming at it from a place of more depth and more richness and more knowledge. Really interesting. I also appreciate that it's not quite so untarnished, right? We've been through difficult stuff as well as easy stuff, good stuff, but also challenging things. And I think you see that in the darkness, in the character themselves, but also in the artwork around them and the richness and deep depth of the color. It's just really cool. I like it. And it kind of makes me almost wonder. It kind of makes me almost wonder if this is the same painting, because I know that in oil painting you can paint over top of, right? And I almost wonder if in the painting of this, if this was painted after the rest of the major arcana was painted, literally over top of, to show the next layer of experience. That would be really cool. You would, of course, lose this original piece of artwork in doing that. But that would show that it would be an actual alchemical or physical transformation of the Fool. I just think that'd be super cool. Just me? Anybody? Anybody? Okay, that's it for the majors. I'm going to just move them out of the way. I'm going to move these into the center of the table. So we're into the minor arcana now, and we're starting with the sword suit. And I say that because, or the suit of air, because we have a little cloud symbol here in the number 1, which is beautiful. So this is our ace of the air suit. And we have this gorgeous sort of white eagle in a mountainy landscape. It feels open and expressive. Love that. This is an image that I saw when Peggy and I were doing the Say Yes to the Deck with Emily. This image came up on a preview or something, and I just thought it was the most incredible 2 of swords or 2 of air that I'd seen in a long time. It felt like grabbing hold of these, or feeling like you're being kind of drawn in these 2 very equally dynamic directions and trying to figure it out. And it feels like a storm. It feels conflicting. It feels powerful. Love that. In our 3, I like that we have the acknowledgement of the heart in this image, but that's not the only thing that's happening, right? There's a lot of movement and flow in this. There's also, we can see, because of the way the paint is done, at least this is how I'm interpreting it, there's this sort of, I was going to say a leak, but there's like some bleed off, right, from the mind space, but also from the heart space. Because this is a card that I feel like merges a lot of kind of emotional energy with mental energy, at least in the Rider-Waite-Smith of looking at it. And I feel like it's a valid interpretation. I used to really buck against it, the 3 of Swords, because I was like, it's a sword suit. It's not about emotions. But really, it's the thinking about the emotional experience that I think that the 3 of Swords really represents. The learning that we do as a result of an emotional experience that happens. It's that moment where something else is happening because we've had something emotional happen to us or in our lives. I think there's a lot of room for interpretation in this card as well, which I genuinely am happy about. Love this person just with the world sort of rushing around them. This flow down the center in the Four of Swords or the Four of Air, it reminds me of like busy traffic, like those kind of like stop, what is it called? Time-lapse photography, where you see that cars are moving so quickly they become a blur. And this person's sitting in that blur, but in the stillness as well, letting everything rush around them, just kind of separating themselves from the chaos. Oh, this Five of Swords is something else. Holy moly. I feel like I'm looking at the back of a hooded figure who's kind of walking away. And then there's these eyes in the background. I'm so cute. I'm cheating. I want to know. What does the Five of Swords say? Because that's really cool. Oh, I don't want to see all these other images. I'm not there yet. Hello? Okay, there we go. Okay, the Five of Air. A dark, cloaked, and hooded figure stands illuminated in front of a stormy sky. We might even choose to see two eyes in the clouds. Yes, I saw those. Their implicit threat adding to the malevolence of the silhouetted figure. In medieval times, such a baleful image could have been an inquisitor. Today it is more likely to depict the archetypal bad man or a subconscious fear. There are many real threats in our times, but they come in different guises, not usually in medieval cloaks. This is very, like, foreboding. Really interesting. I love that. Okay, this Six of Swords is really exciting for a couple of reasons. One, we see the tumultuous feeling of the Six of Swords. We're really moving away from a storm, moving away from the storm perhaps that was raging in the background of this card. Sorry about my camera. We're moving away from that, but we're usually shepherded, or I shouldn't say shepherded, we're ferried is the proper word. We're ferried by somebody else, at least in a lot of traditional Rider-Waite-Smith. But here it looks like you're captaining your own ship. You're moving your own ship forward, which I think is really powerful. Oh my gosh, I want to read with this so bad. The Seven of Swords. This to me looks like kind of a ghostly figure in like a cemetery. Oh my god, I want to chew. I was just going to say I want to chew on the guidebook. And what I really meant is I'm excited to kind of sink my teeth into the guidebook, which is not quite the same as saying that you want to chew on it. But that's what I'm feeling. This Eight of Swords, being bound and still holding the rope that binds them. I mean, this is, and being kind of with the wind racing all around them, you can feel the air element. Like in these cards, like look at it, you can really see air is predominant in these paintings. Like how can any human being make this many paintings and also make them be so potent and powerful? And this is not even Cilla's first deck. It's incredible to me. It's incredible to me. Oh, yes. I love this body positioning. When I see a Nine of Swords in this kind of shape, it really speaks to the energy of the card. The way that it feels like you're kind of, the world is closing in on you and you just feel oppressed and small and scared. So much room to interpret this card, and I love that it isn't the stereotypical like dead thing. I mean, there's so much more going on here. The feeling of just everything is attacking you all at once. It just really speaks to I think the feeling of being in a Ten of Swords moment. It's really, I'm going to just keep saying powerful all the time. Oh, quartz. I hadn't really thought about quartz and how I was going to feel about the quartz in this deck. So here we have our page who looks like they're facing into the wind or into the air element, just kind of engaging with it. W for warrior, I'm guessing? I'm going to say warrior. This figure almost looks like they've got multiple arms. But I also see wings. Gosh, it really feels like, again, like the energy of the card was what was focused on here. The Queen of Swords. Oh, man. And the King. I feel like the court cards, the Queen and the King feel very people-y. The Knight feels very movement and energy and action, which makes sense for the Knight of Swords, of course. And the Page feels also a little bit less solid in a way. So the Page and the Knight are feeling a little bit more abstract in their own special way, whereas the Queen and the King are feeling a little bit more solid, for lack of a better way to say it. This would be something to be aware of if you're new to tarot and you think that would intimidate you. But given how intuitive I feel like the paintings are in general, I feel like it would be a pretty rapid learning curve for most of us. He almost looks like he's like a falconer or something. And then there's this like energy here that he's working with. So now we're into our Ace of Discs or our Ace of Pentacles. So we have a snake eating its own tail. And within that, all of these sort of, it almost seems like eggs. again, our color palette has shifted from these airy blues and purples, right? We've got this kind of color palette too. We're getting into greens for the earthly suit. I guess one of earth. That makes sense. So cool. The two of earth here, we've got almost like is it dryad? A tree person managing, instead of like two separate discs or two separate pentacles that they're sort of juggling. It's all of these different responsibilities, all of these different energies they're kind of managing, and they're kind of all whirling together like a gyroscope in a way. Which is really cool. Oh, this is the three of earth, and it feels like they're in skins and tribal peoples, and they're making their cave drawings, leaving their mark. Interesting. In the four, kind of holding on tight to what one has, kind of staying away from what they maybe perceive are threats. In the five, we see the hint of a building, perhaps even a church in the background, and the people sort of comforting each other all the way down here, away from it, away from the help. The six. This definitely highlights the inequity of the six, right? And oftentimes in the six, in the Pentacle suit, we see a symbol or a sign of some kind of inequity between those who have, or the one who has, and the one who has not, or the one who is in need and the one who has something to give. I really feel the inequity in the way that this card is depicted. I don't always love that, because I feel like we often are in either position, emotionally, energetically, but I think that it's helpful to look at it in this way as well, and to look at the ways that this has an impact. What a lovely seven of earth. This is somebody who's like, yep, I've planted all my crops. I'm going to just wait and see how it all turns out. I'm just going to wait. I'm not going to agonize. This feels a lot calmer, a lot less pensive than a lot of seven of earth cards that I've engaged with. This is neat. This is the eight of earth. And here we see an artist at their easel. Or perhaps a drafter or a planner. It looks like they're actually in maybe an art class. I get the hint of other people around them also painting, but they're kind of in the zone. They're doing their thing. The nine of earth, doing well in one's garden with wine and grapes. And the 10 of earth, this really legitimately feels like ancestry and legacy. I feel like this is almost like lots and lots of cave drawings and markings and sort of the passage of time. Super interesting to me. Here's our page of earth. Love her. I love that she's holding these plants or flowers that she's collected. The warrior of earth. I'm assuming again that the W is for warrior. Queen of earth. I love her. And the king of earth holding his big crystal cluster. So we're into the fire suit. This is really cool. It's almost like a firebird emerging. The ace of fire. Ooh, I love big doorways, portals, openings in things for the two of wands, because the two of wands to me is all about possibility and like considering where we could go next. Like what's it's like the moment before the fool in a weird way. It's kind of like that moment we recognize there's someplace we could go, something we could do, but we don't quite know what it is yet. We're considering, and it's just, I love the big doorway feeling in that. The three of fire. This to me is always about actually embarking. And it feels like one's caught up in the journey. They've taken their steps forward and now they're in it. The four, a moment to pause and reflect in the arbor, the safe arbor or the safe shelter that they've built. The five. I love all the red here. I love the conflict. The six. Victory. Wow. The seven. Oh my goodness. It's like they're reaching for this staff up high to just, oh man. The eight. All the speed, being caught up in the moment, the momentum of it. The nine. You get this very last man standing feel from this card, don't you? I do. Sorry, I should say I do. You don't have to get the same thing from them, I do. This is so great. This is so powerful. The 10 of Wands, the idea that you're carrying somebody else. Like, where are you holding on to other people's responsibility? What is not yours to carry? Where are you carrying others when you should be taking care of yourself? Really good message there, I think. Our Page of Fire. Our Knight of Fire. I feel like this could have some Thoth kind of influence. I have no idea. I'm making that up. I don't even know. I'm hoping to dip into Thoth soon, but it's just giving me that vibe. Particularly here. Oh, wait. We have a choice. Oh, I see. So, an alternative card. We have the... Is she bare-breasted in both cases? I think this one's maybe a little more covered up, technically. I don't know. Here, there's a wielding of energy or electricity kind of thing happening. Here, there's this snake, this kind of power. I really like this card, like a lot. So I think I'm going to keep this one in my deck. And this one I will put back in the box. And then we have our king, which is all the centaur energy. I am here for it. Oh, I'm so excited to get into the watery suit. So here we have the Ace of Water, and I'm getting mermaid and whale vibes from this in all of the best possible ways. I love it. I think I did see this card in the preview as well, the Two of Cups with the rainbow, the hint of a rainbow, which could be some foreshadowing for the Ten of Cups later in the deck. But I love that they're kind of in the space between sea and land in a way. They're in the shallows. You can see the beach here, but the deep sea beyond. The Three of Cups is so beautiful. There's so much energy flowing through this artwork. The Four of Cups. There's a face there, but she's kind of buried, right? She's kind of like masked or cut off or disconnected, which I think disconnected is actually a pretty decent keyword for the cup suit. The Five of Cups, our loss, our grief. The Six, oh, this looks like an elder looking back on memories of childhood. The Seven. I can't stop picking them up. I'm sorry. If that really annoys you, I apologize. I'm sure there are other flip throughs where people aren't like just doing the thing, but I have to do the thing. I'm just in the thing. This is so fascinating to me because I feel like I can gaze into these bubbles and consider what each of them could mean for me. This deck is making me feel a little bit like I'm part looking at the artwork and part interpreting the artwork and then part scrying, which is the coolest thing, and I have more to say about that, I think, shortly. But the Eight of Water. I love the road stretching out. I like that they're facing that road and the opportunities that lay ahead of them. I adore this Nine of Cups. And this is one of my deal breaker cards. I don't know if I should call it a deal breaker because there's so many decks I have and use and love that still have the sort of like dude with all the wine in the Nine of Cups, which is what I always say, right? But I love when the Nine of Cups goes a different way. And this is one of those examples where I feel like she's just, the posture of this figure is wide open, head thrown back. So the throat and the heart and the belly are all very open, which is a very safe experience. We don't open ourselves in vulnerability in that way if we don't feel safe, right? That's what I meant to say. And is kind of pulling down or accepting all the blessings that are coming her way, these blessings above her, and kind of drawing them down to herself, which I think is really, really cool. And here we have the 10. And interesting, there isn't actually a stereotypical rainbow in the 10. And because the family is in shadow, is in silhouette, you can insert anything you want into that family. Yes, there are still adults and children, and I kind of admit I'm a little bit of a sucker for that sort of imagery, but I do feel like it leaves a little bit to explore and to consider. Oh, okay. Oh, I love her. I was really nervous about the court because I really identify with the Page of Cups, and some of the Pages of Knights have been a little bit more abstract. I feel like she's perfect. All I could have hoped for. The Warrior is like literally Poseidon. That's awesome. And holding a ship. Look at this. How cool is that? Oh my gosh. Oh, I love the Queen also. Look at her, and there's like okay, it's either an otter or a seal, and it's got the whiskers, so I'm pretty sure that's an otter. No, I mean, sorry. It's got the whiskers, so I'm pretty sure it's a seal. This is everything to me. I know exactly what I think when I see this card. I love the conch shell here. I love the look on her face. This feels... I don't have the words. And the King. Oh my gosh. 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 All I could have hoped for and more. I'm going to keep both Fools in the deck. I feel like... that feels right to me right now. This is chunky. So I did have that other tarot deck, so I'm just going to grab it so that we can have a quick comparison of the size of the cards, because it is bigger, notably bigger than a standard tarot. So it feels kind of oracle sized, I would say. I like big meaty decks, so I'm not bothered by that, but I also have strong hands. Peggy and I realized this recently. It's not so much that my hands are particularly large. I think I have pretty normal sized hands, but y'all, I shuffle a lot. I've always had pretty strong hands though. So I think that's part of it, is that I'm flexible in my hands and I feel like I'm strong in my hands. So riffle shuffling is probably not going to be an issue for me with, nope, it won't be for me with this deck. But I can definitely see somebody with a little bit less hand strength or any kind of pain in their hands, or anybody who struggles in that way. I could see them having some difficulty. Or if they have small hands. The gilding is a little bit, it's that smooth, shiny gilding. So it can feel a little bit sharp to the touch, a little bit. But because the cardstock has flex, it's hard to describe, but when cardstock is particularly thick and stiff, that feels really sharp and ouchy. I feel it. I'm not saying it's like the most comfortable physical shuffle with that gilding, but I'm also predisposed to want to look past it because I really like the rainbow holographic effect. But yeah, this is a handful. It does shuffle really nicely, because they're not very clumpy. They're kind of smooth. I would almost say they were semi-matte, but they're clearly all the way matte. They're not really, there's ever so slightly a little bit of light caught. They're not quite as absorbent as like a soft touch, but they're very matte. And they just, do you hear that? It's nice, right? Let's just see. Little test. So they're going to clump a little bit on the fan like any kind of matte-ish cards will. But they feel a lot slippier and slidier than a lot of matte cards. Okay, we're going to take a look at the guidebook. Let's grab a sample card. I know I did read a little bit already, but I didn't read a full entry. Oh, we have the Four of Wands or the Four of Fire. So I'm going to set that off to the side. We're going to take a look at the guidebook. So let's zoom in again a little and take a peek. So this is a really nice soft touch cover, and this border here and the letters are in that rainbow holographic, which the camera is certainly not doing justice to, I don't think, but it's really pretty. So we have Shimmering Veil Tarot. Here's our table of contents. So how does the tarot work? The quantum realms, real excited to read that. Consciousness and the Shimmering Veil Tarot, the images of the Shimmering Veil Tarot, introduction to the major arcana, journey through the majors, that's exciting, the majors. Then we have the minor, we have introduction to the suits, suit of air, earth, fire, water, and using the Shimmering Veil Tarot and further reading and viewing. So, really excited to read that section on the conscious, or on the quantum realms. Oh, look, is that the full painting? Oh my gosh, look at that. Is that the full painting from the High Priestess? Oh my god, it's so cool. Okay, pull it out a little. So, a bit of an introduction. Love that there's a journey. And, of course, it's going to include our, oh, she calls it the Golden Fool. I love that. And then we have actually a full page for each card through the majors, including like the introductory part, a suggested meaning, as well as reversal meaning, which is great. Let's go to see the minors. They have the exact same amount of information, which I love. We also have these tiny little color thumbnails of the images, which, again, big fan. Where's fire? Here we go. So let's go to fire 4. Here we go. Okay, so this is this card here. The image shows an adult and a child, or possibly an angelic being and a soul, within a delicate, dreamlike environment. Flame-like beings wait in the wings to welcome them. This image offers a profound sense of fulfillment and attainment, a homecoming after a long journey, which could be literal or more metaphysical, where home is the soul. The appearance of this card can sometimes indicate reconciliation and new beginnings. Traditional meanings often emphasize the 4 square aspect of this card: solidity, completion, partying, celebration. It is that deep, profound sense we get when we find the work we were born to do, the place we've been dreaming of, or even the person for whom it seems we've been waiting all our lives. While some romantic souls might immediately jump to the conclusion that the end result here will be a celebration of marriage, it is unlikely. The card's meaning connects to a more profound sense of ourselves rather than a long-term partnership, though it is not ruled out. Possible meanings: coming home, the end of a long journey, having traveled extensively and seen many places, the successful conclusion to a long search, inner harmony after discovering your inner refuge or deepest convictions, finding your home at last. Reversed: over time you may have lost faith in your own vision, but the appearance of this card shows it is still possible. Persistence, even in the face of despair, faith and trust are needed now. Persistence, even in the face of despair, faith and trust are needed now. Finding the inner resources to take another step against all odds. That was a good meaty entry. And then are there spreads? Yeah. So there's a bit here about the quartz. There is a Celtic cross, a 3-card spread. So for further reading, suggested is Rachel Pollack's 78 Degrees of Wisdom and other awesome books here, as well as some YouTube videos. And a little bit of a note here from the author, a little bit of a thank you, that sort of thing. I love this. I love this. Okay, so let me zoom out. Couple things I thought of when I knew that this deck was on the way was what I immediately, when I saw this actually online, not even when it was on the way, when I saw it online, I immediately thought of, the first thing that came to mind was my soul cards, which many of you know I'm very, very, very bonded to my soul cards. So when I said that I felt like I was kind of scrying into this artwork, that's how I use the soul cards. It feels more like scrying than reading. And I feel like, oh, look at this. I feel like these would play very nicely together. The funny thing is, I actually don't think I will pair them but the thing is, the reason that this excites me isn't because I would put them together, although I think they would probably work beautifully together. Look at do we see the mirroring? There's the singular energy here, the energy to either side, the singular energy here, the energy to either side. Okay, anyway, I don't think I would pair them because I typically use my soul cards in a very particular way. But can you see how beautifully they could work together? But sorry, I'm derailing myself. The whole point I'm trying to make is this. I think the reason that this excites me so much is because the way that I work with the soul cards has been incredibly profound over the years. And that feeling of scrying is why. That's the whole reason why. And so seeing this kind of thing here is like, oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Like, are you seeing all the synchron... Are you kidding? Hello? I'm getting chills. Maybe I do have to pair them. What is... Siri? I'm literally grabbing clumps of cards and just... Are they having an entire cover? Like, I'm not needed here. I guess I'll go. These cards are like, they don't need me. Like, would you like to get a room? Like, you're clearly having your moment here. Do you see the story? Like, I'm not even gonna... I can't words. I just can't. What is even... Okay, I gotta stop. This is giving me all kinds of feels, and I'm just not prepared. But let's just say I'm very excited about the way that these make me feel, particularly in comparison to how my soul cards make me feel, considering what profound experiences I've had with my soul cards. This particular specific deck of cards being one that I've had for like 20 plus years. I don't even know now. It must be 23 now, 22 or 23 years. It's been a long time, y'all. It's been a long time. So the fact that this is hitting me in a lot of the same spots is nothing to sneeze at, is I guess my point. So along those lines, I also wanted to see how this deck would look next to my Hero's Journey Dream Oracle, which is a Rasuli. I thought so. I'm going to zoom this back in. I don't know why I zoomed this back out. Let's just scooch up. So this is artwork by Rasuli. This is the Hero's Journey Dream Oracle. I think Rasuli's artwork and Cilla's look really incredible together. This feels slightly more tangible, which is nothing I ever thought I would say about Rasuli's artwork. But between the two, there's a little more concrete feeling to these cards. But I do feel like they blend really nicely together. Look at that. Oh my gosh. Look at this. Breadcrumbs of Bliss. And then the Page of Cups. Oh my goodness. I'm just making a mess all over my table. Look at this. The 10 of Wands and discover your super tower. Sorry, super tower. Wow, that's something else entirely. Discover your superpower. Access 100% of your mojo. Again, I feel like I'm not needed here. I feel like this deck is just like, I'm just going to have a conversation with whatever you put me next to. It's fine. It's fine. We'll work it out. Look at this mess. Okay, so that clearly would be, I think, a very successful pairing as well. If you're somebody who likes to pair Oracle and Tarot, I feel like this would work really nicely together. I will say that Rasuli's artwork tends to feature primarily very feminine presenting figures, with maybe some rare exception, but I find it to be just a really powerful deck. I use this one all the time, actually, in my client readings, but wowza. Okay, all right. I need to collect my thoughts here. I don't even know if I can. I really don't. So let's do a little fan. I'm going to get this out of the way. Let's do a little fan and just say, I'll just say this. This deck and I are going to get along very, very well. I feel it down to my bones. Like we are just going to get along really, really well. This is powerful and beautiful and exciting, and I just can't wait to see where our relationship goes. I'm probably going to want to work with this right away. I'm just so excited to dig into it. I'm over the moon. Very excited about this deck. So I'm super curious. Do you have this one? I'm definitely not like first in line for this deck. This deck's been out for a little bit, but if you have it, I would love to hear your thoughts down below on your experiences with it, and or your experiences kind of coming along this particular journey with me. I would love to hear how that's been for you, because I know I've been kind of off in my own little world, but I'd love to hear from you. Thank you all so much for hanging out with me. It always means so much that you spend your precious time here on this channel watching my very long, often very, very long videos. It means a lot. Thank you so much for hanging out. Click the like button if you enjoyed the video, if you found value in it. Subscribe if you're new here, and don't forget to click that little notification bell so you're notified of all my future videos and live streams. As always, thank you so much, and may your magic always shine from the inside out. Bye, guys.